Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Coming up in the next hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Seoul Leadership Conclave in Delhi, says need of the hour is leaders with global approach and local sensitivity. After public rift with Trump, Zelensky says talks with US envoy Keith Kellogg restore hope in achieving agreement with Washington. Netanyahu says Hamas will pay for not returning Shiri Bibas as Arab leaders set to meet in Saudi Arabia to counter Trump's plan for US control of Gaza. And debutant Afghanistan begin their campaign against South Africa in the ICC Champions Trophy in Karachi. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the School of Ultimate Leadership or Seoul Leadership Conclave 2025, the first of the edition in New Delhi on Friday. The two-day Seoul Leadership Conclave will serve as a premier platform where leaders from diverse domains like politics, sports, arts and media, the spiritual world, public policy, business and the social sector will share their inspiring life journeys and discuss aspects relating to leadership. Addressing the conclave, Prime Minister stated that Seoul will develop critical thinking, risk-taking, solution-driven mindsets in these individuals. He expressed confidence that the institution will produce leaders who are prepared to work against disruptive changes.
आने वाले समय में लीडरशिप सिर्फ पावर तक सीमित नहीं होगी। लीडरशिप के रोल्स में वही होगा जो इनोवेशन और इम्पैक्ट की कैपेबिलिटीज हो। देश के इंडिविजुअल्स को इस नीड के हिसाब से इमर्ज होना पड़ेगा। सॉल्व इन इंडिविजुअल्स में क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, रिस्क टेकिंग और सॉल्यूशन ड्रिवन माइंडसेट डेवलप करने वाला इंस्टीट्यूशन होगा। आने वाले समय में इस संस्थान से ऐसे लीडर्स निकलेंगे जो डिसरप्टिव चेंजेस के बीच काम करने को तैयार होंगे।
Prime Minister also said the institution will play a pivotal role in India's journey towards a developed nation and that it will have leaders with capabilities for innovation and impact.
The School of Ultimate Leadership की स्थापना विकसित भारत की विकास यात्रा में एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण और बहुत बड़ा कदम है। इस संस्थान के नाम में ही सोल है ऐसा नहीं है। ये भारत की सोशल लाइफ की सोल बनने वाला है और हम लोग जिससे भली भांति परिचित है, बार बार सुनने को मिलता है, आत्मा। अगर इस सोल को उस भाव से देखें तो ये आत्मा की अनुभूति कराता है।
Alongside Bhutanese Prime Minister Shering Tobgay delivered the keynote address as the guest of honor at the conclave. He said Prime Minister Modi has put India on the path of progress in just 10 years with wisdom, courage and compassionate leadership.
यह आदरसारान मौका है, वह इसलिए कि विश्व के महान नेता आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी से ही नेतृत्व का पाठ पढ़ूंगा। आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, मेरे बड़े भाई, आपने अपनी बुद्धिमानी, साहस और करुणा से भरे नेतृत्व से भारत को केवल 10 ही वर्षों में प्रगति की पथ पर अग्रसर किया है।
And India's Information Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav attended the Seoul Leadership Conclave in New Delhi. Engaging with the young attendees, Minister Vaishnav encouraged them to stay focused and dedicate their heart and mind to achieving their goals in life.
If we think that we have to achieve this, and if we put a heart, soul, body, mind, everything in it, there's nothing in this world that you cannot achieve. Now, everything you can achieve. And under the toughest of the situations, if you can keep your mind cool, think of what needs to be done, Buddha, what is your next step? Correct? Focus. Starve your distractions. Right? Compassion comes from the heart. If you can just make your mind focused on these items, you will do that only.
And my colleague Dibyendu Mondal joins us from New Delhi with more on this conclave. Dibyendu, give us a sense of the vision of global leadership articulated by Prime Ministers of India and Bhutan at the Seoul conclave.
Well, Shubhendu, good afternoon. First, I was there at the first ever conclave of the School of Ultimate Leadership. And, both the Prime Minister of India as well as the Prime Minister of Bhutan raised the occasion where, young students from across India, in fact, young thought leaders from across India had gathered at that event in Bharat Mandapam. And of course, the two visionary leaders who did put out that roadmap of how young minds of India today can shape the future leadership of the country, and how the young minds, preparing the young minds towards leadership would perhaps bring India a step closer to the idea and the vision of Viksit Bharat. And the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi of India, did lay out the roadmap as to how these young talents, these young students could, not just go on to become the leaders of India, but also the leaders of the globe. And also, the Bhutanese Prime Minister, who was also present, did talk about how this institute would also be able to help the students, the young minds of Bhutan, to train them here in India and bring also bring in them the leadership qualities that is required in the country of Bhutan. Also remember, Shubhendu, this institute, which is being today, which was one of the first conclave of that institute, will get ready by 2037. The foundation stone is going to be laid soon in the gift city of Gandhinagar, right outside Ahmedabad in Gujarat. This was the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where he wanted to create an institute which will produce leaders and not management graduates. Is what the people who had thought behind this institute did talk about. And of course, industrialists such as Bharti Mittal, the Jindal Group are also one of the key. In fact, the Torrent Group was also some of the key contributors. In fact, the founding members of this institute, where they will be contributing towards the setting up of this university. In fact, this institute in Gandhinagar, which will go on to create young leadership for India.
Right. Dibyendu, a little more on Seoul, the institution, the plan and the roadmap when it will come into being and will have youngsters transformed into leaders.
This institute will be set up outside the city of Ahmedabad in Gujarat, in Gandhinagar, right near to the gift city. And it will be a sprawling of about 200 acres of campus, which is being designed. In fact, I remember the Prime Minister also saying that he did look at the design, so did we, and how this, in fact, this entire institute is being created as, as one of the most modern technological marvel as an institute. So, of course, this institute is believed to be functional from 2027 when the construction will be completed. But then, having said this, nonetheless, the founders of this institute do say that they will be carrying out workshops with young minds, with government employees, also with the tier 3 powers of the country, which is the panchayats and the municipal corporation, train them, train their leaders who can rise up to become, who knows, maybe a cabinet minister or a very, very senior minister in the government. So, of course, this institute aims to and aspires to bring out and churn out the young minds of India, to take them towards the path of leadership, teach them leadership skills, and also help them, work with leaders to give them first-hand knowledge of how leadership and political leadership particularly works in this country.
Dibyendu, thank you for those updates. And as the first edition of the School of Ultimate Leadership, Seoul Conclave, was inaugurated in capital New Delhi, DD India's Dibyendu Mondal spoke to business leader Uday Kotak on his views regarding the conclave.
What is Seoul firstly, and how is it inspiring to create leadership across the country?
Seoul is an initiative for creation of ultimate leadership in the country, cutting across sectors. It's about leadership in business, it's leadership in public service, it's leadership even in broader civil society and the political society. So I believe Seoul is a very different institution, school of ultimate leadership, and I'm really proud to be here at this occasion at a very important point in the history of Seoul. And I'm also very enthused and touched by the Prime Minister's vision and guidance for the future of Seoul.
So how do you look at, we heard the Prime Minister, you were also there. How do you look at the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in inspiring the youths of the country?
Prime Minister deeply believes that the future of a country like India is not just natural resources, as he said, it's about human resources. And his commitment to the youth of India, the young talent, to convert them into leaders is very critical for India becoming a Viksit Bharat.
So last question, what role could industry leaders like you play in an institute like Seoul?
See, one of the aspects of leadership is constant learning. We have all done our journey and gone through it about how, as leadership evolves, how do you keep on imbibing new things but also learning from your experience. And we, as a part of Indian business and industry, would be delighted to share our thoughts and experiences with the young generation who will be associated with Seoul.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kotak, for talking to Doordarshan. This is Dibyendu Mondal from New Delhi with camera person Anand Kashyap for DD India.
On to some other stories now. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said on Friday that Israel would make Hamas pay for failing to release the body of hostage Sri Bibas as agreed. This comes after Israeli specialists found out that one of the 4 bodies handed over by Hamas on Thursday was an unidentified woman and not Sri Bibas.
We will act with determination to bring Shri home, along with all of our captives, both the living and the fallen, and ensure that Hamas pays the full price for the cruel and evil violation of the agreement.
Meanwhile, Thursday was a difficult day for Israel as it received bodies of 4 dead hostages, including 2 infants and a journalist. Though the body of Sri Bibas could not be identified, now Israel is preparing for a military operation in West Bank following a series of explosions just outside Tel Aviv. More details in this report.
The handover of bodies under the fragile ceasefire was received with tears. The death of 2 Israeli infants, Fir and Ariel Bibas, has shocked the nation. Tragically, a 3rd body was mistakenly thought to be their mother, Shri Bibas, but has not been identified.
It's a mixed emotions about the return of the 4 hostages dead today. On one hand, it's very sad as a Jewish and as an Israeli, and I believe that this is the feeling of any Israeli and a Jewish in the world today. This is probably the saddest day since October 7. On the other hand, I'm happy that the families has a relief that their loved ones are back.
Additionally, the body of 83-year-old Odeid Lifshitz was confirmed. Lifshitz was abducted alongside his wife, Yocheved, who was later released. It has been reported that Lifshitz was murdered over a year ago.
We offer our deepest condolences to the Lifshitz family. Today, 503 days after the October 7th massacre, the body of Mr. Lifshitz, who was murdered more than a year ago in captivity, has been identified. Since October 7th, 2023, the team of the Israel National Center of Forensic Medicine is dedicating itself to identifying all October 7th victims and thus provide closure for the families and proper burial. The employees of the Israel National Center of Forensic Medicine are continuing the identification efforts.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has vowed to eliminate Hamas, stressing the need to prevent any repeat of the horrific October 7 attacks.
My brothers and sisters, dear citizens of Israel, on this day we are all united. We are all united in unbearable grief. Every home in Israel bows its head today. We bow our heads at the heavy loss of our 4 hostages. We all hurt in pain that is laced with rage. We all rage over the monsters of Hamas. The coffins of our loved ones oblige us, more than ever, to promise, to vow, that what happened on October 7th will never happen again, ever.
Fear, anxiety, and anger added to the overwhelming sense of grief as Israel saw a series of explosions on buses near Tel Aviv, though no casualties were reported. The blast took place at bus depots that were empty at the time. Israel has intensified counter-terrorism efforts in the West Bank and fortified key entry points. These developments followed the return of the first dead bodies as part of the agreement, with the additional hostages expected to return this Saturday in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians. Negotiations are underway for the second phase of the deal, which could see around 60 more hostages returned and a potential full withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. This conflict has exacted a huge toll on both sides of the divide. The loss has been immense, and the sad, poignant reminders of senseless violence and the scars it has entailed will remain etched in the memories of everyone for a long time to come. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Kash Patel confirmed as FBI Director by the US Senate. French President and UK Prime Minister to visit the United States amid the Ukraine talks. And more about the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in South Africa.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that a potential meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin will largely depend on whether they can make any progress on ending the war in Ukraine. Rubio mentioned discussing this meeting during his talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Saudi Arabia. Later, Trump indicated that he would likely meet Putin before the end of the month. Rubio added that Trump wants to gauge whether Russia is serious about ending the war in Ukraine, which began with Moscow's invasion of its neighbor 3 years ago. And Arab leaders will meet in Saudi Arabia on Friday to counter U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for American control of Gaza. The official Saudi press agency, citing an official confirmed on Thursday that Egypt and Jordan were participating in the Riyadh summit, along with 6 country members of the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, with the aim of strengthening cooperation and with regard to joint Arab action. The agency also said decisions issued by the unofficial fraternal meeting in the Saudi capital would appear on the agenda of an emergency Arab League summit to be held in Egypt on 4th March. To some other stories now, the US Senate has confirmed Kash Patel as the new FBI chief, putting President Trump's pick in charge for the country's top law enforcement agency. Indian-American Kash Patel was confirmed by a 51-49 vote on Thursday. The vote was split along party lines, with two Republican senators, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, voting against Patel's confirmation. They expressed concerns about his past political advocacy for Trump and its potential impact on FBI's law enforcement activities. Republican supporters, however, argued that he would reform an agency which has faced declining public trust in recent years. Democrats has opposed Patel's nomination, saying that he would seek retribution against Trump's enemies. Patel has denied any plans to pursue political vendetta. And US President Trump will host his first cabinet meeting at the White House on Wednesday, February 26th. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who laid out some of the highlights of Trump's first month back in office, also announced that two European leaders would be visiting next week. She said Trump will host French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday. Their visits come after Trump has already met with leaders from Israel, Japan, Jordan and India. Those meetings come amid concerns in Europe about the direction of talks on ending Russia's conflict with Ukraine.
We are proud to announce that the President will host his first official cabinet meeting here at the White House next Wednesday, February 26th.
US President Trump warned that BRICS nations could face 150% tariffs from the United States for allegedly attempting to destroy the dollar.
When I came in, the first thing I said is any BRIC state that even mentions the destruction of the dollar will be charged a 150% tariff, and we don't want your goods, we don't want to partake. And the BRIC states just broke up. I don't know what the hell happened to them. We haven't heard from the BRIC states lately.
The Trump administration and its Department of Government Efficiency have targeted the Internal Revenue Service. Reports indicate the IRS will lay off some 6,000 to 7,000 workers. The layoffs are part of the administration's latest effort to reduce the federal workforce and significantly reduce government spending. The layoffs at the IRS largely target workers at the agency who were hired as part of an expansion under former Democratic President Biden. The cuts are part of President Trump's radical downsizing effort that has targeted bank regulators, forest workers, rocket scientists, and tens and thousands of other government employees. The effort is being led by tech billionaire Elon Musk. And the US Senate wrangled long into early hours on Friday morning on a Republican bill to advance President Trump's priorities on immigration, energy and defense, even after he urged lawmakers to scrap the effort in favor of a House of Representatives bill that would include trillions of dollars in tax cuts. Trump this week came down firmly in favor of House Republicans' plan for a single sweeping bill. Backers of that plan fear that passing an immigration bill first could diminish their chances of extending $4.5 trillion in tax cuts in the House, where Republicans hold a narrow and fractious 218 to 215 majority. Senate Republicans say they would nonetheless push ahead with their narrower plan and address tax cuts in a later bill. They are seeking to bypass Democratic opposition with their 53 to 47 majority and secure an early legislative win for Donald Trump. Democrats lack the votes to stop the bill but have vowed to fight it as long as possible, accusing Republicans of ultimately trying to shortchange American families to benefit the wealthy with tax breaks. The United States has recently deported a significant number of migrants aboard aircraft, with one plane carrying individuals to Costa Rica and another returning Venezuelans to their home country. A flight carrying 135 migrants from various countries, including China, Russia, Afghanistan, Ghana, and Vietnam, departed San Diego, California, and arrived at Costa Rica's international airport. From there, they were repatriated to their countries of origin. Costa Rica, Panama, and Guatemala have agreed to temporarily house migrants expelled by the US until they can be sent back home or relocated to other host nations.
Costa Rica is a country that is a guarantor of human rights, and the United States requested collaboration so that through mutual support between states, we could provide this management to take them to their countries of origin.
Meanwhile, another flight carrying 177 Venezuelan migrants from Guantanamo Bay landed in Venezuela. Venezuelan Foreign Minister Juan Guaidó stated that Venezuela had requested the repatriation of its citizens who had been unjustly detained at Guantanamo Naval Base.
They had been identified with the fingerprint scanners and also coming through here. They will be checked, given a medical checkup, bath, change, eat, and a series of interviews will begin. The United States says that they are people from the Trendy Aragua and criminals. We checked the first room that were said to be from Trendy Aragua, and there was no one from Trendy Aragua, not one. We are going to check the legal situation of each one of them. Those without a record will go home, and we will take them, and we will take them with care.
Del resto, el que no tenga nada.
US President Donald Trump is gearing up for a significant week of diplomacy, with meetings scheduled with two key European leaders. In the coming Monday, he'll host French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House to discuss bilateral relations and global politics. The meeting is expected to cover a range of issues in maintaining strong alliances. On next Thursday, President Trump will meet British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And speaking on the upcoming visit to Washington, D.C., French President Emmanuel Macron expressed that while it's important for Europe to stay close to the US, Europe also needs more independence.
Et donc ce que je vais faire, c'est je vais lui dire we must keep the American alive with us, the Europeans. We all want it, but we need greater autonomy, independence of the Europeans. Donald Trump creating uncertainty for Vladimir Putin is a very good thing for us, and that's also what's happening. We have to succeed in somehow structuring what's going to come next, a solid and lasting peace plan. I'm going to tell US President Donald Trump that he can't be weak in the face of Russian President Putin. It's not you, it's not what you are made of.
La Russie aurait le droit d'envahir l'Ukraine. And from bringing the conflict to end to sparring over democratic legacy and minerals deal, US-Ukraine saga just continues to define new boundaries of international strategic and diplomatic maneuvers. The allegations and counterclaims have put the US-Ukraine negotiations on the headlines. Here's why.
The rift between US President Donald Trump and his Ukrainian counterpart continues to widen, with everyday statements stretching the gap. White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said on Thursday that Ukrainian president needs to come back to the negotiating table and strike a critical minerals deal.
His frustration with President Zelensky is that you've heard is multifold. One, there needs to be a deep appreciation for what the American people, what the American taxpayer, what President Trump did in his first term, and what we've done since. So some of the rhetoric coming out of Kyiv, frankly, and insults to President Trump were unacceptable. He needs to come back to the table, and we're going to continue to have discussions about where that deal is going.
Zelensky on Wednesday rejected US demands for $500 billion in mineral wealth from Ukraine to repay Washington for wartime aid, saying the United States had supplied nowhere near the sum so far. Zelensky, however, struck a conciliatory tone after meeting US envoy Keith Kellogg, adding that talks restore hope in terms of achieving an agreement with Washington.
General Kellogg, our talks restore hope. We need strong agreements with America, agreements that will really work. I gave instruction to work fast and very much even-handedly. Economic interest and security interest should always go hand in hand, and the details of the agreement are important. The better the details are drafted, the better the result.
Back in Washington, support for continued aid is waning. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Congress is unlikely to approve another aid package.
Do you see another funding bill for the war in Ukraine? Look, there's no appetite for that.
The US onslaught seems to be unending. Elon Musk, Trump's close ally, publicly attacked Zelensky Thursday, accusing him of running a massive corruption operation fueled by the deaths of Ukrainian soldiers, and claimed that Zelensky concealed elections out of fear of losing, despite controlling all Ukrainian media. Amidst escalating tensions, former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko is urging Zelensky to take a diplomatic approach with Trump. Harshita Oberoy's report for DD India.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's Air Force shot down 87 drones, with 70 more probably lost to electronic countermeasures as it responded to an overnight attack in which Russia launched 160 drones and 2 missiles. Ukrainian military on Friday said Russian forces used 2 ballistic missiles to attack Ukraine's southern region of Odessa. No damage or casualties in the capital Kiev were reported by Ukraine's officials, though gunfire and explosions could be heard as the city's air defenses attempted to shoot down the drones. Let's now turn to other stories making news around the world. Chinese nationals found in scam centers in Myanmar crossed into Thailand for a second day on Friday and were flown home, part of a multinational effort to repatriate hundreds of people caught up in massive internet fraud schemes. According to Thai border officials, a total of 6 flights were scheduled on Friday to transport hundreds of Chinese nationals. An Argentine court has dismissed involuntary homicide charges against 3 people accused in the death of a One Direction singer Liam Payne, who died after falling from his hotel balcony last year, although proceedings will continue against hotel employees for alleged supply of drugs. According to media reports, Japanese car maker Nissan plans to invite investments from Musk's Tesla. The proposal has been designed by a high-level group led by former Tesla board member Hiro Mizuno. It's being supported by ex-premier Yoshihide Suga and his former aide. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Global Conference of Meditation Leaders organized in New Delhi. India, Saudi Arabia forged new media partnerships for Waves 2025.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith. The soul of Sanatan culture. From the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic. World's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In order to replace Russian gas supplies, the European Union will look for additional gas from nations like the United States and accelerate the expansion of renewable energy to reduce its overall dependence on fuel, according to the EU Energy Commissioner. In reaction to the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the EU has promised to stop using Russian fossil fuel by 2027. This comes after US President Trump threatened to impose trade duties on European Union unless it increases its import of US gas and oil prior to his inauguration in January. Some update on the health of the Pope. Pope Francis slept well, according to reports, had breakfast in the morning. Pope has been in hospital since 14 February after suffering from bronchitis for more than a week. He's been diagnosed with a polymicrobial infection, which occurs when 2 or more microorganisms are involved. Will stay in hospital as long as necessary to recover. And heading into an election this weekend, many German voters will likely make their choice based on their current standard of living. But while many in the world's third largest economy are doing well, an ever-increasing number are having problems, not least with the cost of living. Housing is a large part of the problem. Latest numbers show that despite all the political effort, things are getting worse rather than better. Lars Holter is with DW and joins me from Berlin. Lars, what can you tell us about the housing situation in Germany?
Thanks for having me. Well, it's been a sad story for a long time. Basically, there is a dramatic housing shortage all across the country, and latest numbers we just got from the government show indeed that things aren't improving. Last year, authorities also approved 215,900 residential units to be built. That's down 17% from the previous year. Looking at single-family homes, it's actually 20% down. Now, what's even worse, there doesn't seem to be any light at the end of the tunnel. For this year, experts expect only 210,000 projects to be approved. As for what's really being built, experts say it will likely be 230,000 units this year in 2025. And that's a far cry from the 400,000 units the government wanted to build to alleviate the recent crisis in the housing market. And it's gotten wild indeed. I'm reporting from Berlin, of course, the capital of Germany, and a city with just over 3 million people and a huge housing shortage right here locally. It's absolutely normal that landlords receive hundreds of applications for every apartment they want to rent out, especially if it's affordable, which it often, of course, isn't. So it's hard, especially for young people, to find an apartment. It's expensive, and it has a major impact on the entire economy. In fact, we're hearing from all kinds of businesses across Germany that they're finding it hard to attract talent for the workforce, often because people can't find a place to live in any given area.
Lars Holter, thank you. Updates from Asia Pacific now. Airlines modified flight paths between Australia and New Zealand on Friday after China warned Australia of potential live-fire naval drills in international waters of the eastern coast. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said China warned authorities that it may begin holding live-fire drills.
Well, China issued, in accordance with practice, an alert that it would be conducting these activities, including the potential use of live fire. It's outside of Australia's exclusive economic zone. Australia and New Zealand ships and P-8 aircraft have been monitoring the Chinese fleet while they have been travelling down the coast of Australia, off the coast.
On the margins of the G20 foreign ministers meeting, External Affairs Minister of India S. Jaishankar called on South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, conveyed warm greetings of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a social media post, the minister said he was honoured to call on President Ramaphosa and assured India's support for South Africa's G20 priorities. Earlier, the minister also met Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Johannesburg. The leaders reviewed the continued progress of India-Russia bilateral cooperation and discussed recent developments pertaining to the Ukraine conflict, including his Riyadh meeting. Both the leaders agreed to remain in touch. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the two-day G20 foreign ministers meeting in Johannesburg. Some 30 countries were in attendance, including Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. DD India correspondent Nazneen Ismail gets us more.
Good day from South Africa. As the G20 foreign ministers meeting unfolded in Johannesburg, the honourable ministers were welcomed on the red carpet with a vibrant traditional South African dance. Over 30 countries are attending, including Indian Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. U.S. Secretary of State is absent due to diplomatic tensions, with the U.S. represented by Acting Ambassador Dana Brown. Representatives of the European Union, United Nations and African Union are also present. The meeting will focus on geopolitical issues, South Africa's G20 achievements and key priorities such as economic growth, food security and sustainable development. President Cyril Ramaphosa opened the two-day foreign ministers' meeting in Johannesburg, marking the first time an African nation has led the G20.
We have now arrived finally, and you may not believe this, to the most beautiful country ever to be made in the world. So welcome. Africa is home to some of the world's fastest growing economies, and in many ways faces unique challenges such as the impact of climate change, developmental needs that it has, and the effects of global trade dynamics. This summit's location underscores the need for African voices to be heard on critical global issues like sustainable development, the digital economy, and the shift towards green energy. It is a great opportunity too to promote greater collaboration between African nations and the rest of the world.
The foreign ministers will continue representing their countries in discussions on global issues and bilateral relations. I'm Nazneen for DD India, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Back home, the Global Conference of Meditation Leaders is being organized from February 20th to 23rd, 2025 at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi, bringing together policymakers, corporate leaders, researchers and meditation experts to advance meditation as a process for positive social change and world peace. Vice President of India, Jagdeep Dhankar, was the chief guest at the event. In his address, he commended the conference and highlighted transformative benefits of meditation, emphasizing its role in cleansing and rejuvenating the human body from within.
Mindfulness offers unique, seamless, acceptable, easily understandable meditation with transmission, emotional cleansing, cleaning, and prayerful connection. When you meditate, you wrestle with yourself. Your thoughts cross your mind. You lack concentration. Transgressions keep on coming. But once you focus, you get enlightened. In this dark tunnel of depression and despondency, meditation emerges as a beacon of hope. It's a north star for enlightenment and a lighthouse when you are in trouble.
The conference aims to engage global leadership in creating awareness about meditation as a key driver for well-being and decision-making, while facilitating policy formulation to integrate meditation into education, healthcare, workplace and governance through research, technology and expert guidance. FICCI recently organized an international conference on critical minerals matrix, promoting exploration, production, processing, supply chains and international collaborations. The conference focused on discussing demand-supply dynamics of critical minerals in key sectors like electric vehicles, renewable energy, electronics, and fostering collaborative dialogue and exploring international collaboration to diversify supply chains. The inaugural session was attended by Satish Chandra Dubey, India's Minister of State for Coal and Mines, who emphasized Prime Minister Modi's message of becoming self-reliant.
आज आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में प्राथमिकता में देखा जाता है, इसको मिशन मूड में काम किया जा रहा है। ताए हम सब लोग एक दूसरे के पूरक बन के कदम में कदम मिला के और एक विकसित भारत, आत्मनिर्भर भारत क्रिटिकल मिनरल में एक दूसरे को सहयोग करें।
A high-level Indian delegation has concluded a landmark series of strategic meetings in Saudi Arabia, strengthening bilateral media partnerships and generating momentum for India's upcoming World Audio, Visual and Entertainment Summit, WAVES 2025.
In a diplomatic initiative that represents a crucial step in India's strategy to establish itself as a leading force in the global entertainment industry, Indian delegation had a series of productive meetings in Saudi Arabia. The delegation met with key Saudi media leaders during the Future of Media exhibition in Riyadh. The delegation's agenda featured meeting high-ranking officials of Saudi Broadcasting Authority, exploring synergies in broadcasting technology and content exchange. Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting Sanjay Jaju highlighted India's digital media advancements and the upcoming Waves 2025 summit.
We are here in full strength from India, and we have had a lot of discussions and deliberations. It provided us opportunities to discuss issues of common interest, because the media and the entertainment segment across the world has huge opportunities for countries, has also got its own challenges. So I think it has provided us the opportunity to discuss all these issues of common interest.
The visit is expected to create extensive opportunities for content creators, technology providers, and media professionals in both countries. This diplomatic initiative is a crucial step to establish India as a leading force in the global entertainment industry. The meetings have laid the groundwork for long-term collaboration in digital media, broadcasting, and entertainment.
Prasar Bharati already has an MOU with the Saudi Broadcasting Authority, and among the various meetings that were held, it was decided that the scope of the cooperation and coordination between the various entities on the Indian side and the Saudi side would be enhanced in the days to come. The Saudi representatives have also agreed to participate on a large scale in the Waves Summit in May 2025 in Mumbai.
Waves 2025, scheduled for May 1st to 4th in Mumbai, will showcase cutting-edge advancements in animation, gaming, visual effects, augmented reality, and virtual production. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. In connection with the 1984 anti-Sikh riots, Sajjan Kumar case, while reserving its order, a Delhi court has asked the Defence Counsel to file their written submissions within 2 days on Friday. The court has listed the matter for order on sentence on February 25th. India's Supreme Court has issued notice on a plea of YouTuber Ashish Chanchalani against multiple FIRs registered against him in connection with India's Got Latent show. The Apex Court issued notice to the states of Maharashtra and Assam on Chanchalani's plea and tagged his plea with YouTuber Ranveer Alabadia's plea. Newly elected Chief Minister of Delhi, Rekha Gupta, announced that Delhi government has decided to implement the Ayushman Bharat Health Insurance Scheme. The scheme, along with top-up of 5 lakh rupees from the Delhi government, was approved unanimously in the cabinet meeting and will be implemented at the earliest. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for all the action from the world of sports. Let's first talk about cricket. After claiming a historic ODI series win over South Africa in September last year, Afghanistan starts its Champions Trophy campaign against the Proteas in Karachi. South African captain Themba Bavuma won the toss and opted to bat first. The big news from the South African camp is that Hendrich Klaasen and Tristan Stubbs are not playing in this match. Klaasen has been left out as a precautionary measure as per reports. He suffered discomfort in his left elbow. Afghanistan head into the contest after a 2-0 series win against Zimbabwe in December last year. South Africa, on the other hand, lost both their games in the recently concluded tri-series involving Pakistan and New Zealand, and also suffered a 0-3 loss against Pakistan at home last December. While South Africa is odds-on favour heading into the clash, the Afghans are more than capable of pulling off an upset in this Group B opener. And Jiri Lehecka knocked off the top-seeded Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz on Thursday to advance to the semi-finals of the Qatar Open in Doha. 23-year-old Czech trailed 4-2 in the third set before rallying to win 6-3, 3-6, 6-4. Lehecka struck 8 aces and converted 4 of 8 breaks chances to secure the first top 3 win of his career. He will next face 8th-seeded Jack Draper of Great Britain, who rallied past Italy's Matteo Battini 4-6, 6-4, 6-3. In Dubai Championship, 6th seed Elena Rybakina booked her spot in the semi-finals on Friday. She fired off 17 aces to register a 6-2, 7-6 victory over Sofia Kenin in the quarter-final match. The former Wimbledon champion is the highest-ranked player left in the draw. Rybakina is looking to reach the final in the Dubai for the first time since 2020, when she lost to Simona Halep. But her immediate focus is a showdown with Russian teenager Mira Andreeva. Meanwhile, 17-year-old Andreeva defeated Swiatek earlier on Thursday for the first time in her career with a dominant straight-set victory. The human endeavour to meet the challenges of daily lives has led man to invent many things. Be it electronic gadgets or aeroplane, the man invented first and then put his skills to realise the dream. Just like aeroplanes, many other inventions have also been born out of human creativity, all reflecting our constant quest to overcome limitations and improve our lives.
Millions across the globe have watched this in a movie, but the visuals unfolding on your screen are from a real sortie of a flying car. The concept has been depicted in so many spy thrillers and sci-fi blockbusters. Now, a California-based company has released videos showing their flying car taking off vertically and traveling over a parked truck. Aleph Aeronautics released the clip of an ultralight version of the Aleph Model 0, a first publicly released video of a car driving and taking off vertically. The company believes it is one step closer to making the future a reality.
We really hope that it will be will have a similar impact as the Wright brothers video, in a sense that it proves to the humanity that the new mode of transportation is possible. It has the independently verifiable proof that that this new mode of transportation does work and does exist. And we hope it will start some kind of a new market, new economy for this new mode of transportations, which we call flying cars.
But the prospect of watching flying cars in your urban skylines are little far away for now. In absence of a mass production line, these machines would be prohibitively expensive. The concept is still at a nascent stage, and nobody wants to hazard a guess when it will become a reality.
It's hard to estimate when as far as the exact year, but I think it's going to be a very, very gradual process.
So for now, thoughts of evading a traffic jam or long queues at the red light might be a distant reality. But the beginning of a very long, complex journey might have already begun. Bureau Report, DD India.
And tech giant Amazon announced on Thursday that MGM Studios will take creative control of the James Bond film franchise through a new joint venture with longtime rights holders Michael Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. Inspired by Ian Fleming's novels, the Bond franchise has spanned over 60 years, grossing more than $7 billion worldwide, making it one of the most successful in film history. The franchise's most recent film, No Time to Die, in 2021, earned nearly $800 million globally. The Bond franchise will remain co-owned by all parties involved. The new deal will give Amazon a more direct role in the series as fans eagerly wait for the 26th Bond film and the casting of the next actor to wear the iconic tuxedo after Daniel Craig's departure. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screens to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.